Last time on ApocaPodcast, our bold band of bounty hunters bent on rescuing a lost techno-archeologist briskly bolted over a bridge to a secluded island. There, they beheld a small domed domicile blanketed in botanicals, bristling in bizarre bubbles, and bordered by a blotchy black liquid. After brazenly battering their way in, 6 small sentry bolts burst forth, not for battle, but bent on bolstering their bastion. These benevolent bots were more fixated on fixing than fighting. When Ron and John brandished their brilliant tinkering skills in a mechanical match, a doorway divulged itself into the ancient domicile. Get geared up for a gripping gumshoe adventure as the saga surges forward on ApocaPodcast.
After a few minutes of silence and conversation, you hear, again, more mechanical grinding, and the front of the structure, which was covered, again, with this kind of, like, shabby overgrowth that looked like somebody had kind of placed it there. You hear this mechanical grinding, and the growth falls into the building as a door starts to slide down and recede into the earth, revealing an opening, a human-sized opening into the structure.
Well, I'll stick my head in.
So the door opens on the side of this gray structure, and you walk up to it, and you look inside, and you see that there's a hole leading downward, and you lean over and you look down, and you see a metal vertical shaft with a ladder down into darkness. The walls appear to be made out of riveted sheet metal, and at the bottom there is a faint blue glow.
That seems promising.
How visible is it? Like, do I need a light?
It gets pretty dark in, like, the middle section, but the top you have sunlight, and the bottom you have that blue light, so you can see the floor and you can see the ladder at the bottom. But it's pretty hard to see. If you squint and you kind of, like, block the sun out of your eyes and stare into the darkness for a minute to let your eyes adjust, you can see that the ladder goes all the way down. But it is dark in between the top and the bottom.
Do we have lights? Are lights a common thing?
I would say you would probably have some source of a light. Do you guys have your quantum supplies, your quantum purchase? Anybody have extra room in their inventory?
No, for sure.
I have quantum debt.
You do have quantum debt. It just shows up at convenient story locations.
I'm going to start coming down.
Okay.
Because I was still up top. Just one more. Can I just do one more look around, make sure I don't see anything shady or somebody staring at us? Or
yeah, you go ahead and make an
those
insight.
Gross bugs.
Those bugs. He's just going to run off, start smashing them.
Yeah.
I'm just going to kind of block the sun out and see if my eyes adjust enough to at least I can see a little bit.
Yeah, so Gray says he's going to do one more walk around the perimeter. That incident with the little robots seems to have scared all the skugs away, except for the one that you knocked over who is still on his back squealing with his little legs in the air. And then other than that, you don't seem to notice anything, and Scrapper John's eyes have adjusted to the darkness and just seems to be a ladder in a shaft.
Yeah, so I'll start going in.
Okay. So, I'm going to take a peek down here at the bottom. Think you should stay up here just in case, or what do you think?
I think we should stick together on this one.
I'll go last.
Alrighty then. team. Go team. Let's go. My eyes are adjusted, so I start climbing down.
So do you guys go like as a group, or do you like wait for one person to get down, or?
I'm just going to start.
I'm going to wait till they're all the way down. At least one person's all the way down.
All right, Ron and John will go together.
I'll go. I was already there, so yeah, I'll just go first.
Yep.
Okay, so John goes first. You start. There's kind of like these handrails on either side, so you can grab and like swing yourself over onto the ladder. And you put your foot down and make a body roll for me.
A 2.
A 2 is great. You put your foot down and it slips because it's oily. But you catch yourself and you do not fall. And you manage to maneuver yourself around the oily spots and kind of climb your way down.
And we notice this?
Yeah, Ron would be right there, and I guess, Gray, you were standing at the top?
Yeah, I'm just staring down, making sure they don't get eaten by anything.
Yep. So it was very hard to see. It's just like a very thin layer of oil. Okay. But that whole top rail seems to be oily. And so you work your way down, and Ron, you know that the rail is oily.
All right. Well,
but that doesn't make it not oily.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it doesn't make it better.
just want to make that clear.
It just means you know the likelihood of you slipping.
Yes, it is oily.
Yeah. What do I roll? Body?
Yep. If you just go for it, you just make a body roll. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going for it. 1.
A 1. You get on there and you're ready for it, and then you slip and you hit your shin, but you don't fall down the shaft because it was a lot slippier than you thought it was. But you kind of rub it and you work through, and you're fine.
It's all right, guys. I see it come up.
Yeah. It just.
How deep is this shaft?
It's pretty deep. It's like.
Can I like grab the sides and slide down it like
killing us all,
like a Navy officer?
You could certainly try.
I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Okay. Yeah. So you're gonna wait for them to get to the bottom, or are you just gonna bowl them over?
Yeah, no, I'll wait at least because I want to make sure they don't step on like a trap door. Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So they get down. John gets down. I'll say that you start to get to the bottom where the blue light starts to illuminate things. You can see the ladder. You can see the oil that is dripping down from the top, it appears. But it seems to have like stopped dripping. It's must have been there for a while. You can see the floor. There doesn't seem to be anything too unusual other than a little pile of oil right at the very bottom. If you continue down the ladder, you see more and more of the hallway from which the light is emanating. And when you reach the bottom, you are met with a short, maybe 10-foot hallway. And you can see that the hallway goes straight and then makes a left. And the light is coming out of some room to the left. And it is bright enough that you can see pretty like normal indoor lighting. And so Ron and John are both now at the bottom of the ladder, and Gray is waiting for them to not get squished so he can slide down.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Come on down.
Okay, they step out of the way. Gray can make a body roll to fireman slide this.
4, 5, 6.
You go up.
You just
The best roll I'm probably gonna have.
This is
the whole game.
the coolest ladder slide. You like do a backflip, bounce off the back wall, spin around, slide down both sides, flip backwards. You slide straight down to the bottom, and then you like put your heels
down to
in.
the bottom. But when I get towards the end, I just stare them in the eye like I'm super cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for their attention.
You like dig your heel in so you can slow like an air brake.
Yeah. I kind of like, and I just look at them.
And you somehow don't have oil on you.
Yeah, that's right.
But you stop like half a foot taller than them.
That's the thing. I stop at their eye level. And then when they just kind of roll their eyes, I just then let go and drop to my actual height.
No, now that I know you well enough, I'm going to start feeding into this. So I just give you a nice little head nod and clap. I need you on my side.
Are we encouraging this?
Shut up, he'll fight better.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to quietly poke my head around the corner.
Okay, so you're at the bottom.
Still just being cautious.
Yeah, sure. So you kind of sneak forward and you stare around the corner and you turn a little bit more and you keep kind of inching until you see more and more of the room. And you find yourself looking into a small circular room, and it smells of smoke and burning chemicals. To your left is a large, clear, rectangular chamber, roughly 6 feet by 8 feet by 3 feet deep. On the far side of the room is a very wide computer terminal with lots of switches and keyboards and monitors. And to your right is a large 5-foot diameter gold disc leaning against the wall. There is also a steel blast door next to the disc with a transparent viewing window. The perimeter of the room is recessed, and blue light pours out of that recess to fill the room. And you see your little robot friends in there, just kind of scattered throughout the room.
I got their own ladder.
They don't notice you yet, though.
So I think, seeing them, I feel confident enough, so I'm just going to stride in.
Okay. Yeah, you go in, and all their little heads pivot to stare at you, and they start bouncing up and down, saying, repair, repair. And they, 3 of them will run kind of up to your feet and try and, like, pull you by the ankles to the large, I guess I'll call it like a command center, because it's got a lot of keyboards and monitors. And one of them is sitting next to a particular screen, and you see various symbols, but it seems to be changing. It's like, seems to be one kind of text, and then it flips to another kind of text, and then a third kind of text. And then you see one flash by that you recognize and you can read, and then it disappears again. And it kind of cycles through this a couple times, and so you get the feeling that maybe it's cycling through different languages. And it happens that one of them is one that you're familiar with from your techno-archeology background. And so there is just a singular, almost like a touchscreen button on there. And so if one wanted to, you could reach out and touch it at the appropriate time to see what would happen.
All right. Ron does, looking at John and Gray, they still want to stop him. He meanders over and waits for the language that they understand. And when that pops up, he hits a button.
Great. And so the screen kind of flashes blue and goes completely black. And then it refills again with new text, but all in that same language. Let's see, what does it say?
To set up your iPhone, please choose language.
The iPhone 6000X.
Please agree to the terms and conditions. And so all of the screens go black and then fill back up with the appropriate language. Most of these screens are filled with streams of numbers and diagnostics that don't really make any sense to you. However, that one screen reads, previous maintenance cycle interrupted. For your safety, operations are limited to debugging and calibration. Please select an option to proceed. And there are 5 options, which I will read to you now. The first one is view log files. The second is view surveillance footage. The third is open vault. The fourth is calibrate fabricator. And the fifth is fabricate. But it has all caps the word locked next to it.
Seems like we should maybe read the log files first.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there.
Beep.
Log files.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, so you kind of poke around at the equipment, and this seems less advanced, I guess, than the tablet up top, which was weird and futuristic and touchscreeny. This feels much more ancient and has like hard buttons and knobs and things. And so it takes you a minute to kind of like figure out what everything does, but eventually you can kind of scroll through the options, and you can go to the log files. Most of the information is rather disinteresting. Time, temperature, weather, power levels. However, what is interesting is you notice that a 12-hour portion of the log files appears to be missing.
And do we know that time? Like, can we look that up on the surveillance side?
Oh yeah, so there's timestamps. Like the time itself might not necessarily make sense to you, but you can see that this is a time measurement, and you can go back and find that same moment in the surveillance footage if you wanted.
All right, let's look for it.
Okay. So you navigate out to the surveillance, and you go to the timestamp of the missing log files, and that surveillance footage is also missing. You can go forwards, backwards. There are... you can try to find these missing files if you wanted to do some kind of know-how to, like, I don't want to say hack the system, but recover them maybe.
Yeah, I'll see if I can do some manner of file recovery. Try to check a repository and look at last revision.
Yeah. And so you kind of go through and you're poking through the different files, and you can tell that this feels like it's been brute force removed. It doesn't feel like it's an error. It looks very clean, like this segment was removed intentionally. And so whoever wants to be at the terminal can make a technology know-how to try and recover, hack the system.
Oh, no.
I'll give it a go. I have some experience, but not specifically in computers, but...
All right, go ahead.
I'll give it a wing.
I'll stand around here to protect you guys.
Am I using my... know-how? 3?
Yep, know-how technology. 6. Brilliant. Yeah, you go through and you see that this is actually a very shoddy job. Like, the equivalent of, like, taking a file and dragging it to the recycle bin.
Unrecoverable.
Like, yeah, like... yeah, like it's,
recover. Yeah.
This is not
Control
a sophisticated delete, but with a roll of a 6, you garner additional information, which is that it's not that the person was lazy so much as they did as much as they could with the permissions they had. The system is in this very locked down state right now, this very high security, low permission state, and this feels like kind of a last ditch effort to hide whatever it was because they couldn't do a whole lot more. Yeah, so now you've found both the log files and the surveillance footage, should you wish to go through them.
Yes. Curiosity.
Okay. Working backwards in time from now backwards. Most recently, you see footage of yourself approaching the facility and entering. Then there's a period where basically nothing happens, and then finally you make it to your 12-hour footage of deleted information. And so for simplicity, I'm going to consolidate the video surveillance and the log files into like one kind of description, and I'm going to assume that you're hopping back and forth between them. Essentially, what I'm going to do is I've divided this footage into scenes, and I'm going to assume that you're basically scrubbing through this 12 hours very quickly, because you're not going to sit and watch 12 hours of footage in slow, just real time.
I want to role play it.
All right, we'll take 2-hour shifts.
12 hours later. And so you can scrub through this video, and I'll give you basically the gist of each scene. But if you want more details, you can ask questions and kind of dive into each scene and do any of the crazy things that they say on really bad science CSI things, like enhance again. It's just, any of that crazy nonsense that comes to mind, you can ask and try to do.
Nice.
But for them, again, the point is, I'm going to give you the highest level information, and if you want more, you're going to have to dig for it. Okay, so starting at the front of the 12 hours, you see a cloaked figure approach the ruin, right? So these cameras are on the outside of the structure.
Yes.
Cloaked figure approach the ruin and use the terminal that is in front. Unlike Ron the Barber, this individual seems to put their hand right on the tablet, and the door opens. Mm-hmm. There doesn't seem to be any issues.
What?
And so that's the first scene. Then, if you follow them, change to a camera that's on the inside, they quickly, right, so this is scene 2, they quickly enter the base and place something into a small glass box near the terminal that you are sitting at, and the box fills with a blue light. Then the figure quickly taps a few commands into the terminal, and all of the lights in the room change from blue to red and start pulsating slowly. The heavy blast doors open up, splitting like the letter X, and recede into the wall. The figure then turns to look at the opening and nods in an approving fashion, turns back to face the terminal, lowers its hood, reaches into its cloak, and pulls something else out, puts it somewhere on the terminal. After a few minutes of typing, the large clear rectangle that was on the left side of the room illuminates with bright flashing lights, and the figure proceeds to leave the facility the same way that it entered. The room is still illuminated with red light, and all of the doors, including the front door, remain open. So there are still several hours of footage left, but at this point the figure has left the facility, and there, in the near time, there doesn't seem to be anything. So you can keep scrubbing forward in the video, or you can go back and search for additional details if you want.
I want to go forward far enough to see if the light goes out in the little box, because it's currently out where right now, where we are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right now the room is filled with blue light, and the little glass box on the terminal is deluminated. It's literally just like almost like a display case. Like you would put like a fancy artifact in there and then put this glass cover over it. And so there's no light in that display case. But you definitely saw the figure put something in there, and it started to glow, and then the lights turned red. And so you want to fast forward?
I thought the lights turned on and then he left, like it was doing something. Okay, so it's off.
Oh, so the other box. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. So there's 2 boxes in the room. There's a small box on the terminal, and then there's the larger box, which I should come up with a new. I'll call the larger one a chamber, because it's not really a box. It's like a small room. That one was filled with lights, and so that one is filled with flashing lights, It is currently not filled with flashing lights, but it is in the room if you wanted to go over and look at it. And so you want to scroll forward in time thinking about the large chamber.
Yeah, I just want to see if anything came of that.
Yep. Okay. So you start scrubbing through the video, checking the different cameras. Several hours go by. All the while, you keep flipping inside cameras, outside cameras, inside cameras, outside cameras, and the lights are just still there flashing. The figure then returns to the facility after a couple hours, again back down the ladder into the room. And the chamber is, at this point on the video, filled with these bright flashing lights and smoke, and after, I'd say maybe 30 minutes after the figure returns, the lights in the chamber turn off, and the chamber is evacuated of smoke. The figure approaches the chamber and then removes the large golden disc from the chamber and then sits it on the side of the room near the vault door.
Enhance!
Who is that guy?
I don't know. Can we go back to the first scene?
Go back or enhance? Which one are we doing?
I was kind of joking around, but I did want to go back to... You said he took his hood off, right?
Yes. So if you scrub backwards in the video, figure enters, puts something in a little box on the terminal, types in some commands, the doors open, he turns his head, looks back at the terminal, and then flips down the hood and reaches into his cloak. And so you can pause the surveillance footage there, and so you'll have an image of cloak down and hand reaching into a cloak. Is that a good frame?
Sure.
Yep, I think so.
So what do you want to know?
Just wondering if you can see his face at all.
Yeah, so with the hood down, you can definitely see the face. You can zoom in, and you see that it is appears to be some sort of robotic type face. It is, I should have said this earlier, it's a humanoid person, right? 2 arms, 2 legs, body, and the head appears to be, you don't know what's on the inside, but all of the outside is metallic. And then, of course, camera lenses for, like, eyes and things like that.
And would we be able to see what he typed in?
So there are a number of commands. If you kind of scrub back and forth in the video, it seems it's a different language. So unfortunately, you can't, like, copy exactly what he did, but based on, like, he typed a command and then a thing happened, you can more or less see that it was basically opening the doors and setting up this machine to do whatever it did.
Yeah.
If you kind of scrub back and forth a little bit as he reaches into his cloak, you can see that the letters ARES are painted across the chest. And the chest is also made out of metal, or at least covered in metal. If you're paying attention to exactly what he was doing, he pulls out what looks kind of like a USB flash drive and then inserts that into the terminal, types some commands, and then that's when the box goes flashing on and off to create that golden disc.
Well, I see the disc on the screen, and then I see the disc next to us, so I just touch it, inspect it.
You walk, just a couple feet over. The blast doors are currently closed, while in the last part of the video you saw, right after he printed the disc, the blast doors were open. Mm-hmm. The disc is in the same location. It doesn't look like it's been moved, but if you run your hand over it, you can feel the surface is rough. And then if you look at it, there's like pinholes. There's like these pinholes or some kind of surface damage has happened here. Doesn't seem uniform. It's not like there's this uniform pattern. There's like this one section that has like this dense pinhole damage. Yeah.
Can I pick it up?
You can certainly try.
I'd like to try.
All right, make a body strength check for me.
4.
So you go to lift it, and it is, it's roughly an inch thick, and what did I say? 5 foot diameter.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's big and awkward, and you start to lift it, and it is very heavy.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
What did you roll? A 5 or a 6?
No, a 4.
4. Yeah, so you can almost get it off the ground, but you can't quite do it. If you like took the time and got yourself in a better position, you could probably do it, but this isn't something that you would just like lift up and walk around with.
Yeah.
But that appears to be what the stranger did, is he just kind of picked it up and then moved it with 2 hands across the room.
Right. I'll just say something like, my hands are sweaty. I'm tired from the ladder.
Sure.
You want to try this barber, Ron?
Actually, why don't we all try it?
Well, if I couldn't do it myself, why could we all do it?
Distribution of weight.
Don't use your
teamwork makes me weaker.
Don't use your medical magic on me.
John, help him out.
Where are we bringing this thing?
We brought it. So the figure brought it in from inside the vault, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go back to a compass again, because otherwise I get confused on how to explain things. I'm going to again say that you guys entered from the south, which may or not actually be the correct compass direction, but it makes my brain, happy. So I'll say you guys entered a circular room from the south. So to your left, which would be the west, there is a large rectangular chamber, and that is the chamber that filled with lights and smoke. And at the start of the video, there was nothing in that chamber, and then after all the smoke was evacuated, that gold disc was in the chamber. And so he just took it from one side of the room and moved it to the other side of the room. And for completeness, the chamber is on the west side, the terminal is on the north side, and the vault, as is being called, is on the east side.
All right, well, let's see. Light and smoke. Out came this disc. And one of the commands given in the terminal is fabricate. I think this thing was just recently made. I think he made this.
That's certainly what it seems like.
Now the question.
Not sure what it is.
Question is, what is it for?
That is an excellent question. So there was, for the options, it was fabricate, calibrate, fabricate, right? And then what was the third one that was left?
Open vault.
Open vault.
Oh, the vault. Yes. We saw him open the vault, and what? Did anything come in or out? I don't remember.
So the last footage you guys saw, he took the disc out, sat it down next to the vault, which was open, and then he entered the vault. But that's where you stopped watching the footage. And so if you want, you can jump back to the surveillance and continue from there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, why don't we go forward to make sure he's not still in there?
Okay, so you jump back to the portion of the footage where he enters the vault, and you start scrubbing through it a little bit slower this time because you're interested in what's going on, and there's about 20 minutes of nothing because there does not appear to be surveillance cameras inside of the vault. However, around that 20-minute mark, you do notice on the outside cameras that 2 other individuals approach the facility. and you know that all of the doors are open right now. And so they approach, they kind of walk around the building a little bit, have a discussion with themselves, and then enter and start climbing down into the facility.
Keep going.
Can we tell if this is Old Man Jenkins?
So you can look at the footage, you can kind of zoom in, and you notice that one of them is in fact Jenkins.
There we go.
The other one is another humanoid, a little bit wider set, kind of bulkier shoulders. You can't really see what's going on because he has a cloak over his shoulders, but you can see that both arms kind of shine with a metallic luster. Jenkins is wearing his signature kind of goggles on his forehead, and the other individual seems to have kind of like a metal plate across his forehead, a red eye of some kind, possibly like a lens, but otherwise the other half of his face appears to be a regular human origin.
I think it's Larry.
Okay, well, keep scrubbing. See what happens.
Yeah, let's keep going.
And so you kind of follow them forward. The two of them enter the facility. Again, the lights on the surveillance footage are currently red, slowly pulsating. They are kind of sneaking around because they're being wary. At least that's the feeling you get. And they walk up to the terminal, and they see the smaller kind of display case that's on the terminal. And the individual that you have determined to be Larry reaches out and takes something from the case, at which point all of the lights snap back to blue, and the vault doors start closing in an X pattern. So they start kind of looking around. They're a little surprised. They back up. Their backs are to the large chamber. And then right before the X vault doors close, they seem to kind of struggle, stall, and then start to reverse and open back up again. The individual determined to be Larry seems to pull a shotgun from his hip and hand something over to Jenkins and shove him out of the way, and then starts firing blast into the opening gap of the vault doors. He motions again for Jenkins to run. If you follow the footage of Jenkins, he leaves, climbs up the ladder out of the facility, and then runs south, which is again the direction that you guys had come from. If you keep the footage on Larry, he seems to fire a shotgun blast, take a few steps, fire another shotgun blast into this opening, and slowly work his way out to the hallway, where he runs or climbs very quickly back up the ladder. And then instead of going south, he goes north, and then out of the view of the cameras.
So he goes north the way that the big oil slick went?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, the goal was to find Larry. I have a feeling that whatever's in there, eyes the vault, is probably not worth our time. There's just one other thing I want to check. And if it's all right with everybody else, Braun will go over to the terminal and press the command for calibrate fabricator.
Yep. Okay. So we'll pause the surveillance there. There's still a couple more hours on the deleted footage,
okay.
But we can jump over to the calibrate fabricator, and nobody stops them.
Yeah. Do it.
I mean, we're not fabricating; we're just calibrating.
Right. Okay. So you select to calibrate the fabricator, and the chamber behind you begins to resonate with a gentle hum, and a heavy fog starts to fill the chamber, starting from the top floating down. Inside of the chamber, at the top, there was a device kind of long, spindly arms, but it's kind of hard to see it behind the smoke right now. But this device springs to life, and you start to see these arms casting vibrant, pulsating webs of light throughout the chamber. And these thin beams of light crisscross and intersect, creating intricate patterns that dance and shimmer in the air. As several minutes go by, these beams converge and diverge with precise timing and accuracy, giving birth to complex three-dimensional shapes suspended within the chamber. Finally, the chamber is filled with the sound of rushing wind as a vacuum removes the fog, accompanied by a hiss of pressure release as the front door of the chamber opens. And inside, there are some small objects, should you wish to investigate.
Oh. If I should wish to what?
Investigate them.
I would love to.
Okay. So you walk over to the chamber, and there are 6 geometric baubles, I will call them, and a small box. And so I have a description of each of them, so you just let me know which one you would like to look at first.
I would like to grab the small box.
Okay. So looking at the box, it looks like an ornate chest. It is suspended in air by some very thin pillars of some kind, and so you can reach out and just kind of gently pull, and it just pops off these pillars. And it looks like it was almost crafted out of a dark mahogany wood. The surface is adorned with delicate engravings of arcane symbols and intricate patterns, giving it an aura of mystique. The chest is hinged, and as you open it, you notice special recesses appear to have been expertly carved into a velvet-lined interior. These recesses are tailored to the unique shape and size of each of the other 6 geometric baubles, ensuring that they remain perfectly nested and protected.
Very good. In which case, let's proceed then to the baubles.
Okay. There are 6 of them, from left to right. They are a small tetrahedron crafted from green polished jade. It features 4 perfectly equal triangular sides, and each is adorned and inlaid with golden patterns. The tetrahedron is basically a pyramid.
I was going to say, these are dice.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I gotta give it to you. I wondered how long this was gonna take before we realized what it was.
These are dice. Because I'm literally looking at my ornate dice holder.
Yeah, so they're nerd dice.
So I want that to be how that actually goes while we're on, just like slowly, just gazing at them like they're some mystical artifact, and Grace just like, they're dice.
Yeah.
I've heard about these. It was this cult that the social outcasts had put together.
Yeah, they call themselves the nerds.
Yeah, so exactly that. You have a D4, right? That's your tetrahedron. You have a D6, which is a cube, but the D6 is appears to be carved from a glossy ebony wood, right? And so this is really the difference. One of them appears to be made from jade. Another one appears to be made from wood and covered in gold. The octahedron is a blue sapphire, but it has a rough, like, natural stone cut to it and is inlaid with silver. The D8, is that where I'm at? I don't know. The decahedron, whichever one, is ivory. Dodecahedron is amethyst, embossed with gold. And the D20 is mother of pearl with what looks like hand-painted numbers on it. Or what you determine to be numbers.
Huh. Very good. Ron, looking at all these various metals and textures, shapes, puts them all neatly sorted into the box, closes it up, puts it in his pocket, and thinks, that's, that'll be a good story to tell. I'm sure I'll be able to make, we'll be able to make some bank on this.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And so at that point, there's nothing else in the chamber, but if you went back to the terminal, you would see that the fabricate command was unlocked, and should one be interested enough to attempt the fabricate command, it would open up a database of various objects that one could print. And at that point, it's basically loot. So if you wanted to print yourself a weapon, ammo, armor, this is a spot that you could kind of go through and you could print out a thing. And it would take time on the order of probably hours, depending on how large it is. Right, these baubles were very little, which is why it printed so quickly. So
Can I print a cherry pie that's actually a bomb?
What is this, a SpongeBob episode?
That's exactly what it is. It's a bomb. It was made in the bomb factory.
You just tripped.
No, in all seriousness, I have to know if that guy is still in the blast door.
Yeah.
So I just want to, as they can mess around with the picture thing if they want, but I need to scrub the rest of the footage to make sure he's either still in there or far, far away.
Okay.
Can it make money? Like gold?
Well,
like gold coins.
Inlaid those with gold. So like each of those was a gemstone covered in gold. And so if you went through the fabricator, you would probably find gold, but
what?
Yeah, you'd probably find like gold bars, probably not gold coins.
Did someone say print gold?
Gotta carry them back.
I was gonna say something. No, I'm thinking something small but is valuable. Like, are gems valuable? Like, what's like, is a diamond valuable? Because gold's gonna be too heavy for us to carry. But if we can print 100 diamonds, then we're rich. We're like,
so
you're gonna replace all your teeth.
Diamond teeth.
We're gonna call it
like upgraded jaws.
A grill.
Why are we calling it a grill? Are you cooking with it?
I thought that up just now.
You go through the fabricator, you see that there is a George Foreman grill.
And we make like 100 of them because we know that George Foreman has a bunch of juniors.
Oh my gosh. Georgette.
Yeah. So I would say that gold, diamonds, they probably have some value because they're rare, but I would probably lean more towards electronics as value, because if you have raw materials, you have to process them somehow to get anything of use. And this is the apocalypse, so I mean, are you going to feed yourself on gemstones? Probably not. And so I would probably think in terms of like a barter system, because there isn't, the only currency that you guys are aware of is torchy points, and you got torchy points for hunting down and, well, you stole, but somebody goes out and hunts and kills these scorpions and converts them into oil. And so that resource, you know, has a direct value, but I don't know if gemstones themselves do.
What about like a very intricate wrench that is just one step better than Barbara Ron's?
You can try.
Oh, really, really fancy.
Yeah.
And a camo cloak that's just a little bit better than mine.
Exactly.
So you could probably upgrade some of your things if you wanted. You could probably, I don't know if you could recreate the individual things, but if you needed like upgrade components.
Can I make night vision?
I'm going to say yes.
I want night vision.
However, you're going to need some way to power it. That's going to be the only issue.
I'll just steal
so
it
let's say
from John.
I'll say that you can do night vision and like replaceable batteries, but you can only do so many of them. So it's the end of the mission, so it doesn't really matter that much. But I'll say that you can do like maybe night vision and 2 batteries, and it'll take you a couple hours because it's kind of complicated electronics, larger object, and I assume the other 2 want to print something.
I'm gonna just make 2 daggers made out of gold.
That will make you a target.
Just bends when you stab something.
Unless you guys have something better.
That will make you a target. Make just really sharp daggers that no one will suspect.
Laser daggers, come on.
Nanocarbon knives.
You can cut and cauterize at the same time.
I want to make 2 small lightsabers.
There's no such thing as lightsabers, all right? They're laser daggers.
What was the other one that Star Wars has that normies can use? Vibro blades.
Yeah.
Oh.
What
that is.
I think the big cyberpunk thing is like the monofilament.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
It's just like a 1 atom thick like wire, and you just like slice people.
You like towel whip somebody and they just go in half.
Yeah,
if we're going for topical, make a Chris knife.
Oh.
Well, first you have to print the worm, and then you got to pull it from its mouth. Okay. Yeah, I have to know what is the fate of our brobot.
Yes.
And by that I mean I want to scrub the rest of the video if his fate is in there.
Yep. Okay.
I don't think we have enough time left in this recording to finish the story, so why don't we pause here, and then next time we will resume the video, of which there's only a little bit left, and then we can continue our story with the search for Larry. Thank you guys for listening. This is the ABCGM signing off. I'll see you next time.